Hey, how are you, my friends? I have a brief story for you. Something that can impact your life, something that can change your life, something that is really important. Really important. It was something profound in my life, and I'm going to share it with you. So recently I went to a Tony Robbins event. It's a 4-day seminar about success. You're 5,000 people. It's crazy. Huge event. And this speaker is a guy who makes things happen. Corporations call him, he turns corporations around. He's like in the top 10 of individuals who can do that and who have that type of influence. Top athletes, Serena Williams, Chuck Liddell, they're burning down on national television. They call Tony Robbins to get them back in a peak state. Bill Clinton had his encounter with Monica Lewinsky, and he's about to get impeached. He reaches out to Tony Robbins. So this is the type of guy that you're dealing with when you talk about a winner and a person who's going to put you in the right mindset to make a difference, get you an action plan, and to make things happen. So I go out to this event. It's in New Jersey, Secaucus, New Jersey, right outside of New York. And I'm all the way in the back. I see it. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy big stadium. Like, it feels like 2 football field size inside of it. It's ridiculously, it's enormous. And I'm standing next to this guy. This guy says he's a student from Massachusetts. And I say, okay, all right, he looks kind of similar to me. So I say, hey, man, let's be friends. So mind you, we're so far in the back that we don't even have a seat. And this guy tells me something that I just feel like is kind of crazy. I asked him why he was here, and he said, I'm going to make Tony Robbins know who I am and absolutely remember me. I say, okay, if you can make that happen, make it happen. I don't know how the hell you're going to do it. Not only are we so far back that we don't have seats, but there are like 7 rows, each $1,000 more for a ticket in front of us. And that's before you get to the people who paid $70,000 to be a part of an elite team. And they're before people who were personally invited by Tony in the VIP section. So I mean, you have all these obstacles in front of you. Then you have the security guards. Then you have the stage, and then you have Tony. But I mean, if you can make it happen, happen. So this guy says, I'll do anything it takes. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I'm gonna make sure that he knows who I am. So I say, okay, man, if you can do it, man, make that happen. So we finally get a seat, and we're so far back, it's ridiculous. We are behind a pillar that's blocking the screen, that's showing Tony's face, that is so far in front that you need binoculars to see it. And so I'm like, man, what the hell? It doesn't sway this guy. The guy is just relentless. He just feels like, you know why I'm here. And so the nighttime comes. They blaze up hot fires underneath these coals. And it's ridiculous. Everybody has to partner up. You're with like 2 or 3 people, and you have to go. They direct you to a lane. And when you get to the lane, you cross the fire with your partners and you celebrate. So this guy, I'm like going to my lane, and this guy says, I don't think so. I think I'm gonna go find Tony. Because I heard that he is going to be at one of these lines, and I'm going to go to his line. And I'm like, dude, come on. He's like, you can go do your own thing if you want to. Or you can come with me. And so he starts walking. So he looks and he sees a 6'7" figure. And the figure's not much taller than the other people around him. There's a reason for that. Because those were his bodyguards. Who knew? So he goes, and he's like, I'm gonna have to get past these. How do I get past these bodyguards? And so he recognizes that it's dark outside, and he's fairly complected. So you know what? I think I'm gonna take advantage of this opportunity. So he maneuvers. He gets past he gets past like 3 of them, and he gets right to the firewalk, like right at the hot coals. Tony's right next to him, and the bodyguard grabs this guy by his shirt. And so he turns around, and as he turns around, he looks up and he sees Tony. Tony has no idea really what's going on. He's just transitioned his focus from the other person in front of him to this guy. And so the guy looks up, and the bodyguard lets go. He sees Tony, and Tony says, "Say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes the entire way. Say yes. Go for it. Get in the state. Get in the state." And before he goes, he decides he wants to break Tony's pattern just a little bit. Not to break his pattern, but, I mean, he came all the way here. Why not just shake his hand? So he puts his foot on the coal, and then he comes back. And before Tony can transition his thoughts to the person behind him, he comes back and kind of, he's disoriented for a second, then he gives the guy a warm smile. Shakes his hand. The guy makes eye contact. It's just an absolutely special moment between the guy's hero and him. He nods his head, and he goes across the firewall. It was an amazing experience. It was just ridiculous. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely everything that I wanted. That I wanted him to experience. It was ridiculous. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, the guy made his dream come true, right? You would think that he made his dream come true. And so, what ends up happening is Tony walks by, and then two other guys shake his hand on the way out, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? What do you mean? Right? Like, what's going on here? What's going on here? That's the guy saying. And so, what ends up happening is the guy's like, you know what? Shit. Think they didn't take my moment, but now I gotta, how's he gonna remember me and three other people? He could remember all three of us, but I don't think so. I'm gonna push it past this. So the guy comes in ready the next day. Tony doesn't show up. Some guy named Joseph McClendon, pretty good speaker. Enthusiastic. He's speaking for the day. Tony's not there. I'm like, everybody's just like, okay, what's going on? Joseph ended up being pretty good. But he's not Tony. The guy's here for Tony. So then what ends up happening is the next day, we've been waiting 48 hours, bro. We've been waiting 48 hours. Like, it's time to make this happen. So I'm like pumped for this guy, right? I thought he already met his goal. You know, he shook his hand. He made eye contact. He interrupted his pattern. There you go. The guy's like, no way, bro. No way. So I'm like, okay. We're sitting in the back, and this guy and I, we're in the back. We had the Chiefs ticket. And he's like, I don't think I'm going to sit in the back anymore. I'm going to be close enough to not have to look on the screen. I'm going to see the expressions in his face. So he goes up like 2 or 3 rows, gets all the way like within 100 feet of Tony, and puts, kind of sneaks in. Is hoping that nobody will find him. So he like puts a bunch of clothes on, and he's like all the way up towards the front. And what ends up happening is he sneaks in. He's in there. People are like getting kicked out of the rows, like told to go back where you came from. Not really go back where you came from, but they're being put right back in the rows that they paid for. And I'm not really willing to let that happen. So I'm like dead set in the middle. Tony gets up, he starts speaking. And, oh shit, I said me, huh? Fuck. Well, the story's about me. It's my story. My bad. So, I'm straight in the middle. And then, Tony's all the way, he's really far back, right? He's 100 feet back. And so he starts speaking, and he looks in my direction. I'm like, you know what? I wonder if he looked at me. You know what? No, he didn't. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at me. Nah. He's 100 feet away. He didn't see me. So then he gets down, and he starts walking in my lane. In the lane. And so I'm like, there's no way. I feel like, but I could be pretending right now. And so he walks like 3 rows in front of me, and he starts speaking. He's making glances towards me, but they're like empty glances, like just looking at the audience. But then, something happens. Those glances aren't too empty anymore, and I'm wondering what the hell's going on. And I'm like, he's seeing me. I'm not imagining this anymore. just in case I did in the first place. But I'm not imagining anymore. He's seeing me. He's seeing me right now. So he goes in front of my lane and never moves past it. And he's like looking at me a lot. Looking at me a lot. And I'm like, great. That's why I'm here. So what ends up happening is he finishes what he has to say, never goes past my lane, never goes past my row, and then goes back up front. So everybody starts dancing, having a good time. We're raising the roof and everything. I pretend like I'm raising the roof, but I kind of just scoot past everybody, and I decide that I'm going to go steal somebody's seat in VIP. That's exactly what I did. Not necessarily steal, but I was going to go find a seat. I was like, they can't all be filled. So I go all the way to the front. I'm like, hey, high-fiving people. Bumping. I get all the way to the front. And I ask a young woman, I say, hey, is anybody sitting here? And they're like, no, whoever was here left. And I say, no way. It's the first seat in the first row. So close that you can literally put your arm out and touch Tony. Like you're that close. It's that ridiculous. So I'm like, no way. 5,000 people, and I got the number one seat. I can't believe it. It's crazy. So I'm all the way in the front. It's a crazy event. It's just ridiculous. Tony's like about to settle people down, and he settles people down, and I'm sitting next to people who become my new friends eventually, and he asked a question. He said, why would a 24-year-old feel like he didn't have what it took to be successful? He's like, everybody put your hands in the air if you feel like you can answer this question. Everybody, as soon as you get the answer, throw your fist in the air. So, I'm getting ready. Everybody's getting ready. Everybody, he asked the question, boom, 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 boom. Pump my fist in the air immediately. He says, get this man a microphone. And I couldn't believe it. It was me. I was just like, oh, shit, I did not expect this. He's going to want me to, oh, okay, all right, cool. So I'm like getting in a state. I'm making sure that I'm all right. They bring the microphone over, and I try to answer the question. He said, why would a 24-year-old feel like they were too young to be successful? And that's the first of a series of questions. And I just didn't really know. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I can be successful. I said, maybe he feels like he doesn't deserve it. He was like, or he did it really nice, like in a way that he was like, or the answer is, he was like, or it's this. And after asking me a couple questions like that, I just had a hard time answering he was like, what would that do for you? And I was like, answering it the way I would answer. I just didn't know what he wanted. And I was like, finally he gets to the last question. He's like, what would a man do in 20 years? He's 44 years old, 20 years after waking up realizing that he didn't even go for his dreams. He never took any action. And I said he would figure out where to start. Make a plan. Go for it. He was like, you know why you keep answering these questions like this? It's because you're a man who makes it happen. Everybody give this man a round of applause. And they do. It's crazy. The crowd is going nuts. And so then afterwards, it was just a crazy moment. So then afterwards, he tells the audience I want everybody to think about their most limiting belief, and really I want you to understand. I want you to see what your future looks like in 10 years with that limiting belief, the worst case scenario. And then I also want you to really, what's he say? I want you to think of the worst thing that's ever happened because of it. And I said, shit. Now, mind you, I was really pissed about not even answering the questions that way, but I was pissed because I was about an 8.5 out of 10 confidence. And who remembers an 8.5 out of 10 confident person? Is that even memorable? Are you going to... What the hell cares about that guy? You see him all the time. And although the crowd loved me, I knew what Tony saw. I knew exactly what he saw, and I didn't want that to be what my hero remembered. And so I said, what I did was I fucked my chance up with my hero. I got all the way to this stage. I slept on the goddamn subway. And I almost messed it up. And I did mess it up. And I was so upset because I couldn't believe my limiting belief, which was that although I could produce great things, I didn't deserve it. Although the world and the universe seems to help me out, I didn't feel like I deserved it. I felt like heroes were, were born. You know what I mean? Like heroes are created. You see too many damn movies. I don't know. Something must have happened when I was a kid. I just I felt like I didn't deserve it, so I sabotaged myself constantly. And because of that, I sabotaged myself when it came to the greatest moment of my life at the time. Potentially me meeting somebody who's had such a high impact on me. I fucked it up. And it made me pissed. I was absolutely upset. I couldn't believe it. And I was so upset and distraught. And I just decided, he helped us get through it. And I just decided that I deserve whatever I can create. I deserve the best of the best. Whatever I create, whatever I want, I'm going to get. And I fucking deserve it. So I punched the floor. Straight up, just went in on the floor. I said, just one hard punch. I said, you know what? I'm going to do anything it takes to make sure that my hero knows who I am and remembers me. And that's exactly what I did. Everybody starts celebrating. They get up, having a good time. I see that I have about 5 to 10, maybe 15 seconds to get this man's attention, to make sure that he knows who I am. So I go to the side of the stage. Bodyguards are like freaking out, and I'll punch a bodyguard in the face. I'm here for one reason only. So I go all the way up to the stage, and I point at him. Now the bodyguard's like coming over to me, and he looks at me, and he puts his hand out, and I grab his hand, and I try not to let it go. I yank him down, and I say, you're the reason why I'm here. You are the reason why I'm here. He's like, I say, I'm here because of you. And he says, now I'm all in it and everything. And he does that gesture. So I say, okay. So I must have written 3 notes, like going through the the workbook, tearing sheets out, trying to find a page with enough space for me to write on. I write him a note, and it says, "You are my hero. Thank you for being you. You've had such a profound influence on me in my life, and with that influence, I've overcome homelessness 2 times, and I've overcome in a series of life battles. I've won a series of life battles that, if I had lost, would have meant the end of my story. It would mean a lot to me if my hero knew who I was and remembered me. It would... Please make space for me in your mind. It would mean everything." And